Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Beyond Aesthetics, the Business of Beauty. So today we are going to be welcoming Ignacio Fanlo, and he's the CEO of CloudMedSpas. We are very happy to have him here. But before we get to our main show today, let me tell you a little bit about me. I am the owner of MedSpa Well, and we cater to the med spa industry, providing tools that enable them to get to the next level in terms of their profitability, their reach, and their brand. And I've been in this game for about 30 years, working with Fortune 500 companies, maybe 500 of them. Quite a bit of time spent with chief executives and in trying to improve their profitability and how they perform and how they treat their human resource people. So today we have a revolutionary business model for medical spas that Iggy is going to be talking to us about. I'm very excited to have him on today. This is quite a treat for us. He is a genius at recognizing entrepreneurial opportunities. And I'll let him tell you the story of how CloudMedSpas began. But he himself has been involved with tech and med startups and spent a lot of years with JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, bringing entrepreneurial companies public. And he himself has run entrepreneurial companies. So he's seen all of the anguish and the pain that goes into building businesses, but also he's reaped the successes from all of his hard, diligent work. So without waiting too much longer, let us welcome Iggy Fanlo. Welcome, Iggy. So glad to have you on board today. How are you?
Nice to be here, Nell. Nice to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. We're very happy to have you here. And to tell us a bit about you. Can you give us a little bit more background than what I had just already mentioned? There's more to you than what I said.
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you for having me on, first of all. I greatly appreciate it. So yeah, it's been a long journey. Like you mentioned, 15 years on Wall Street at JP Morgan and then Morgan Stanley, all in the fixed income arena, derivatives, mortgage-backed securities, etc. It was a lot of fun, but it was also a lot of pressure, and sometimes, for me at least, there wasn't a great deal of purpose other than personal personal wealth gain. So it came a point in my career where it was right to make a switch. I was very fortunate to meet the folks at a company that was called Deal Time at that point, and we became shopping.com. And as you mentioned, we ended up going public in 2004. Goldman Sachs led that offering. And I've been in tech since '99. So it's been incredibly rewarding. Sometimes, like you said, incredibly frustrating, incredibly difficult. What I tell people about being an entrepreneur is you may want to check that at the door. It's really, really hard. But it can be really, really fun, and beyond financially rewarding. For me, it was more about finding purpose in what I was doing.
Oh, fantastic. And I also heard someone say that starting up a company, you have to be able to eat glass.
I believe it.
And some very challenging issues come up that you have to face and find a resolution for.
Yeah.
So it's really can be very challenging, but like you say, the rewards, if you hang in there and just work it out, things will come eventually.
Hopefully. It's not a guarantee. But and it's an old cliche, the journey is the reward. It should be. If you go for this, you should really have that in mind. And if the journey is not rewarding, I would tell you to end that journey. An old expression from my sporting days: if you can't wear the jersey proudly, you should take it off.
Right. So you were in sports too?
Oh, yeah, I did a bunch of things. The only thing of note, I guess, I was captain of the golf team at my college at Princeton a long time ago, 40 years ago. So it's been a long time, but I'm a lifelong golfaholic and addict, and I would play almost every day if I could physically handle it.
My experience of it is that it's such an unforgiving sport, and all it takes is one great shot.
Are you talking about being an entrepreneur or golf now?
Oh, yeah, about golf, but I think life too in general. There's a lesson there for all of us.
Yeah, golf is, to me, it's a cliche too, but it's really like life. It exposes you bare to everyone and yourself.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. And it is a mind game too, because you can really cause yourself some harm if you get your thinking going in the wrong direction. It will
Yeah.
take you south.
Yep.
Yeah,
You can be your
absolutely.
own worst enemy for sure.
Yes,
That's true
but
in life.
there you are in a beautiful manicured golf course, and that's it. The beauty of being able to play in a place like that is also very rewarding. So
Yeah,
just being able to play the game.
it's a privilege. It's a
Yes,
privilege.
it is.
So
Right. So I just want to invite everybody to contact Iggy after this, anytime after this session today. And he's been so gracious to allow us to enable and to give us permission to contact him if we have further questions. Thank
yeah,
you so much, Iggy.
yep. No,
All
I'd love to hear from your listeners.
right. All right. Fantastic. Fantastic. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is, so how did you come up with the idea of CloudMedSpa and what
Yeah.
problems were you trying to solve?
Yeah, well, it's a funny story. So I had been part of several startups as an executive, as a founder, and I was, kind of looking for the next interesting idea to tackle. And I was at a award show, the Academy Awards, with some friends, and I saw these clips. It was an anniversary show, and they were showing these clips of um, actors and others in the film industry from many, many years ago. And it was obvious to me, but folks were also commenting on people's skin and their teeth and their hair and what have you. And it became very clear that the further back in time you went, the more, I guess, the bar was lower for what people found acceptable. And these are movie stars, these aren't regular people in the street. So it was really clear, like you could draw a straight line of where aesthetics was going. And then they did this thing on David Beckham. I guess it was like a 20-year anniversary of him being the first metrosexual.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter was top of mind. She may have been in the room, in fact. And I realized she was taking more photos of herself because of social media and selfies and what have you,
Mm-hmm.
100 times more than I did at her age as a teenager. And so I said, boy, this is just going to get younger and bigger. And I also had no idea how big the industry is. So I started doing research. I was between jobs, if you want to call it. And I started doing research in the industry. And I found that not only was it a huge industry, I mean, it was 50 billion back then or 40 billion several years ago. It was growing at double digits.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then as I dug deeper, I found this really funny conundrum. Its analogy was in the hair care space. So it turns out in hair care, just like medical aesthetics, most patients, the vast majority, are loyal to their provider, to the practitioner, the injector, the technician, whatever the word you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
That is very similar to hair care, where people are loyal to their stylist to the
Mm-hmm.
point where people move around with their stylist. So I went and did the legwork on the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it showed that as of 2018, 90% of the physical establishments that did hair care, over 900,000 out of the little over a million, um, excuse me, were rental models.
Mm-hmm.
They were not W-2 employees. There were no employees. People were renting their chair. And the reason they had done that, digging deeper, was that uh, hair salons had gotten kind of tired of advertising, marketing, looking for customers, acquiring those customers, paying for those customers. And then those customers weren't even their customers. They were their employees' customers. So they said, we're out of this not to be too erudite, but Sisyphean task of going up the hill and acquiring customers and then losing them. So we go, this is silly. And I came to realize the same thing was true in spas. There was a term called spa hopping, where an injector or a practitioner would build up a reputation, a book of business. And don't get me wrong, they were really good at what they did. They were good at their craft. They were good at bedside manner. They were good at, making customers feel good about themselves, which is all important. And they would say, you know what, I'm going to walk down the street and get a better deal as an employee. So I said, this is inevitable. It could be us, CloudMedSpas, but it's going to be inevitable that somebody's going to come up with a platform where people can run their own business. And I said, hey, there's already 20,000+ med spas out there. Why not develop a platform that allows them to transition easily, both software and services, transition easily to a rental model? So instead of being a typical conventional med spa, where I'm spending tens of thousands of dollars, many of our customers, on marketing and getting patients, and then losing them shortly thereafter when the employee leaves, stop the nonsense. Just stop it. You're in a terrible state. The bottom 90%, there's a few med spas that do well, but the bottom 90% are struggling with this problem. It's an HR problem primarily, but it's a marketing problem too. So stop marketing for patients, stop the HR, hamster wheel, and just rent the rooms, rent your machines, offer them products and marketing services and EMR, give them this whole package. And just essentially be a med spa landlord. Get out of the liability issue. Have no employees, really. Essentially, maybe someone at the front desk. You could call it WeWork, but that's oversimplifying, because you need to have vendor relationships with product manufacturers, with device manufacturers. You need scheduling. You need inventory management. You need payment processing. You need to keep track of medical directorships where it's important legally, malpractice insurance. So it's a complicated offering, but if you can produce that and make it super simple for a provider to, run their little LLC in their business, they can kill it. They typically make 2 to 3, even 4 or 5 times their hourly income on average. And work less. So they make more money, work less, and then their own boss. It's check. It's the gig economy, I guess, on steroids.
Right. Everything feels right with that model.
Yeah.
Everything feels great.
Yeah, the med spas really have a lot less risk. They're a lot less capital intensive. And if they run their business properly, they're far more profitable. And then the providers are far better off. The ones that lose, honestly, because there generally is a loser in a system, the ones that lose are the ones who stay in the W-2 model. Eventually, I think they lose. But more importantly, the mediocre or subpar injectors lose. I always draw the analogy to Amazon Marketplace, where most people don't realize it, but they have almost 10,000. I know they're in the news now for antitrust, but they have 10 million merchants, but only 1 million, 1 out of 10, makes over 100,000 in sales, just sales. And only 1 in 100, 100,000 do over 1 million in sales. So it's a very steep pyramid, but the ones at the top do exceedingly well. And that's what you want to do, is develop a platform, make it a level playing field. I think we all, at least intellectually, we feel this way. We want to create a fair, level playing field where people can hard work, talent, perseverance, lets the best people do well. And those that say, you know what, I'm okay doing this, they can do that as well. But it's competitive. But it's rewarding, and it's hopefully fair.
This sounds like you've thought about all kinds of angles with this development of your idea. Are there any cons that might be brought to light that you could think of?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to make it out like everyone's got to be doing this. It's just like every e-commerce merchant has to be on Amazon. but it simplifies your life. If you want to be your own, I mean, people have flocked to Uber, to DoorDash, I mean, my own son did DoorDash this summer as a college job because the greatest thing for him wasn't so much even the money. The money was okay. He worked that angle intelligently, but more importantly, he loved the flexibility. I want to take a day off. Boss, nobody's telling me what to do. He can optimize his schedule. And I think you're seeing that today with people with remote work and this tension of going back to the office, and people like having control. I learned that at other startups I did, specifically one for elderly. I always thought naively that the elderly would want safety or security or finances. It turns out they want that, but the number one concern is always independence, kind of control over your life. And I guess that's a lifelong desire, is what we're realizing. People want that control. They need to pay their bills. They need to have some level of safety, but beyond a pretty modest or middle income level, I think people really, at the end of the day, cherish their control of their time and their flexibility in their life. And it's been undervalued. I think it's why so many people have moved to be independent contractors.
Yes, it's that element of control, to be autonomous. In our conversation, that's a word that came up, autonomy, and that independence, being in control of your work situation, the people you work with, how much you charge. And
I mean, that's if you have ambition, I think that's what you're looking for, is control and levers, and that's what we're really trying to do, is give people, wholesale pricing on products. And as we get bigger and bigger, we'll get better and better wholesale pricing and offer that to them. They get that level of pricing. So they get really good pricing as a modest, small company. They get preferred access to devices that would be impossible for them to achieve as an individual provider. So, we did this in Boston and Dallas, but in the end, we said what we really want to do is have this software and services platform that we can offer to any med spa. Now we have med spas throughout the United States, in Georgia, New Jersey, North Carolina, Illinois, and then a bunch in the Boston area. And then we have people we're talking to in Kansas, Oklahoma, New York, California, Arizona, Tennessee. So there's a lot of people. And we're starting to deliver new services. They're in the pipeline. They're going to be launched relatively soon. So right now it's, scheduling and inventory management and payment processing. We're going to also offer those CloudMedSpas. We're going to say, hey, you're trying to attract providers in your local geography. Let's make it that much easier for them. Not just about booking devices and rooms. And we're going to give them payment processing for their patients. So it'll be part of the app for providers, injectors. Say, hey, take care of that. You could do Square or you could do Venmo, but we'll have it as part of the app. Also do scheduling. Your patients, you'll be able to give them a link and they'll be able to schedule you personally. So you're a provider. It's like having your own business. Patients can schedule you. We're going to offer them access to the best brokerage rates for insurance. Basically a business in a box. You're going to say to CloudMedSpas, here's the tools for you to be a landlord, run your business, rent rooms, machines, all this stuff. Super simple for you. And now we're going to make it that much simpler for your clients, for your tenants who are renting rooms and devices. We're going to give them not only scheduling and all these other things. And, we're going to say, do payment processing with your patients, do scheduling with your patients, do your electronic medical records, get access to the best insurance rates for malpractice. We have medical directors in a lot of states we can turn to and say, hey, would you like that? So it's a real turnkey solution for a provider to get going.
Yes, turnkey solution in a box that was developed in just under a year. You've
Yeah.
moved very quickly in rolling all of this out. And you've already got people using the box,
Yeah.
and all of the tools.
We've got over 15 locations and well over 100 providers using the system. It's growing, double, triple every year. So
Yes.
we
So,
expect this to be much, much bigger. So it's something we took a little bit of time, unfortunately, with COVID in Boston. We launched a few before COVID when we were doing our own site, but we learned an enormous number of lessons, an enormous number of, hard fought ones. And we want to offer those lessons and the fruit of that work and mistakes too, quite frankly.
right. So there's a
To
community too that you're developing. The people who are using all of the tools in the box for the CloudMedSpa tools have a lot at their fingertips, but they also have access to experts. Correct.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that struck me was, in the hair care industry specifically, a lot of people have gone to some of these folks like Solo Salon Suites and My Salon Suites and Phoenix, and a hairstylist just rents a room in a warehouse essentially and does their job in a little box and does their hairstyling. And I'm sure they're great at it, but they're on their own. They're completely alone. It's separated. They have this one little physical room. And I think one of the things we've learned with the CloudMedSpas, having several rooms, 3, 4, 5 in Boston, more than a dozen, is you develop a community. People are, a lot of our clients are actually the medical directors for other clients. They've created groups among themselves to work with vendors to do continuing education. So that community has surprised me. I've never fully appreciated that value, and I think it's a missing element, especially as you think about work. I mean, I'd say that's the biggest part of work that I think people will miss with remote work is that sense of community. I don't want to get too philosophical here, but you're seeing that in our society. I'm not a religious man, but fewer and fewer people are doing that. Fewer and fewer people are going to a workplace. And I think that's a big hole in not having some sense of community and shared purpose with other folks in your industry.
No, so I couldn't agree more. Yes, this is very, it's an unexpected benefit that, really adds value to everyone who's involved with CloudMedSpas. And it
Yeah.
also sounds like it can be applicable to other medical practices besides med spas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it turns out that we've been approached by people in the real estate industry, dentistry, dermatology, other medical verticals where people have, I'm going to say not necessarily medical, but clean, well lit, available space, access to a provider community, and we can help them with kind of a game plan, a playbook on how to reach these providers. But basically, this is a way of turning real estate into money. It's like they sort of did with WeWork or with other rental models that are more successful than WeWork. Like Regis and others like that. This is a much more sophisticated way of turning medical space. And there's other medical co-working businesses, but this one brings the whole package of licensing and directors and products, and it's a complicated group of solutions.
Right, absolutely. And there are so many vacant commercial buildings.
Yeah.
In many, many major cities. So this seems like it would be an optimal use for those vacated properties.
Yeah, if it's in a safe and clean area, that's in some cases people also say, you know, they'll need access to it, whether it's through public transportation or parking or something. But yeah, if it checks those few boxes, I mean, malls even, absolutely, you can turn this real estate into gold.
Yes, oh, amazing, just completely amazing. Let's
Yeah.
go back. So besides rooms, what about equipment for?
Yeah, so we have relationships with a variety of medical device or energy-based device manufacturers,
Mhm,
micro needling, body sculpting, uh,
mhm,
laser hair removal,
mhm,
intense pulse light IPLs,
mhm,
facials, hydrofacials, glow facials, all these devices, we can get them on essentially a subscription basis. So
mhm,
rather than having to fork over six figures, 100,000 plus for a lot of these devices, uh,
mhm,
we make it really clean and simple, low entry price for a CloudMedSpa to say, hey, I want to bring one of these devices in. Uh,
mhm,
I know that it's a subscription model, so it's not like a lot of device manufacturers where they sell you a big device. It's a big capital investment, and it's not uncommon. I don't want to throw everybody under the bus, but it's not uncommon that, you know, the attention of the salesperson is distracted to the next sale because these are big sales, and
yes.
it's if you align the interests, I guess is the best way of putting it.
Mhm,
If ongoing success of the med spa and the device is aligned with the seller of the device, you're saying to the seller, don't sell me something for 100,000 and then my success is, you know, you want it to work. I'm not saying they don't, but you want testimonials. But at the end of the day, I've now got that risk. But if I'm paying you 2 or 3,000 a month instead of 100,000 up front, um, well, it needs to work for it to be successful for you as the seller, for
mhm,
me as the software and services provider, for the med spa, and for the provider. We've aligned everybody's interests, so everybody's going for the same goal. How do we get um, patients in to do great procedures with great practitioners
mhm,
in really nice locations? Uh,
yes.
so everybody's on the same page, and that doesn't always happen. You have disaligned interests when somebody sells you something up front.
Mhm,
So
right.
that's a goal of ours. The other, you know, cons have said to us, people have said, "Oh, aren't you going to have, you know, a concern about bad providers?"
Hmm.
And I actually say the opposite. I say actually we should have better providers on average. Doesn't mean we can't have a mistake here or there. We haven't had one yet, so knock on wood. But
Yes.
if you're a person who has W-2 employees and,
Mhm,
oh, God bless you, have a big rush of clients that are taking advantage of some promotion you're doing, and
mhm,
you say to yourself, okay, I have 5 injectors. Now, obviously, some are really good and some maybe not as good. But if I've got a lot of patients, I've got to give some of the patients to the bottom third of my injectors because I just have a supply demand problem.
mhm, mhm.
They're gonna be in the hands of, you know, less qualified injectors, and
Right.
that's just a necessity of the business, which is unfortunate. In
Mhm,
our model, though, if you're your own business as an injector, well, guess what? If you're
mhm,
not a great injector, not doing great work, and you know, being a really um, you know, a sought after injector, you're not going to have many clients. So the
no,
probability of bad injectors succeeding is almost zero in our
right.
model. So we hopefully the model will weed out the poor performers.
Mhm. Yeah, correct. And but with a community though that's supportive, and maybe people, the average injectors could be elevated if they were mentored by the top injectors, for example. So there
Absolutely.
could be partnerships and
We have that happening in Boston and a little bit in Dallas already. There is a mentorship. Some of it's done, I'm sure, at no cost, just as a friendly thing. And then there are professional relationships where
yes,
people
absolutely.
are paying their medical director for advanced training, for mentorship, for the ability to reach out to them and say, hey, I have this concern, I have this problem, I have this question. And it forms naturally, but you have that access to dozens of people in the community that you wouldn't know where to turn to in the other.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, a huge opportunity to elevate the entire field with this sharing of knowledge and also people, the desire to be better can grow inside of an interconnected community like is being created through CloudMedSpas, which is, I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Um,
that's the goal at the end of the day. I mean, if I just say what's my number one goal, I would love to see whether it's the Cloud Med Spa owner, but as well the providers
mhm,
achieve their personal professional ambitions and to have that control and flexibility over their lives, over
uh,
financial life, their personal life, to be able to set their time and flexibility. We have a wonderful story, and I don't want to share too much because it's a personal story, but in
okay.
one of our Cloud Med Spas, there is a provider um, whose child is disabled, and
Hmm.
um, they were struggling with this decision of 9 to 5, 5 or 6 days a week. I think they are a single mother, but I could be mistaken, but I think they are. Um,
Hmm.
and what do they do about their child and spending enough time with them and the guilt and um, all that goes along with that?
All
And
right.
our model now, they're only working 2 days a week, setting their own hours, and they're making more money. They're making
Mhm.
actually more money,
Uh,
but setting their hours, getting plenty of free time to, and this the story with the disabled child is very, you know, is very heart wrenching, but it applies to any child. If you want to spend more time with your children, with an elderly parent, with with a friend who needs help, having
right.
that ability to make those decisions, those personal decisions, and not have it impact your financial life and your security, that's a fantastic thing.
Yes, it is the flexibility that this autonomy allows people, that their quality of life goes up, goes
Yeah.
way up, not, and for their families too. That's a lovely story. Thank you for sharing that with us, Iggy.
No, it feels good to share it. It feels like we've
It,
done something right. It feels
it's
like
a human story, and that is what is so great about, even though there's a lot of technology in the Cloud Med Spa model,
mm,
it allows for humanness to come out too, which is very, very lovely to hear. I think
okay.
during I'm going to change gears a little bit now too
Yeah,
to supplies. So I think you said that quite possibly the wholesale prices could be passed on
yeah,
to
they
people.
are. They are. We don't. We generally don't. In fact, almost never charge above our wholesale price. Sometimes a
Hmm.
very tiny handling fee
Hmm. Hmm.
or something, but um, essentially that's to cover like credit card charges and things like that.
Sure.
But no, we pass those on to our provider, to our Cloud Med Spas. They generally
Hmm.
pass that on to their providers. Again, they might have a handling fee because there is humans involved in accepting products and whatever. But a very
Sure.
small provider starting out can get the
Hmm.
flexibility and also um, get ridiculously good scale pricing. And we're still a small company, so
Hmm.
I anticipate our prices to just get better. Um,
Yes, over
and as they
time.
get better, their prices get better. So we had a modest, let's call it middle-sized company that was saying to us, well, we have good prices. I don't know if yours are any better. And I said, well, let's put it this way. Our prices together are certainly better than either of ours individually. So
volume discounting, yes.
X, 2X is more than whatever we're doing together is more than we're doing individually.
Yes, yes.
We'll all benefit from this partnership.
Absolutely. The larger the volume, the lower the price breaks.
Yes.
Or the more advantageous you can work those price breaks.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. So if a med spa were to consider converting, what does that all entail? And you mentioned that it's pretty simple, but maybe you could walk us through the steps.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the biggest step, honestly, is converting their existing employees. And so what we found generally is the best employees, and this is not a secret or surprise, the one like this one I mentioned who had the disabled child saw right away that this was a big win for them. They have a strong client list, a loyal following. They'll do better financially, and they'll have more time and control over their lives. So explain it to them. Not everyone. I mean, some people say, hey, I just want to stay where I am. But presenting this opportunity to the best ones, we find the vast majority are very interested. The ones who maybe aren't quite as strong at their craft, aren't quite as motivated to build the client list, treat it more as a 9-to-5 job and not a passion to be great at what they do and build a strong following. They may not like that responsibility because now they are under the bright light of day. And, I love what Billie Jean King says about being at the top. Pressure is a privilege. You don't pressure if you're not doing something important and doing something with risk. If it's just, a very staid, low pressure, low risk job, guess what? Probably it's you've got other things on your mind. This is not your number one priority, and that's fine. But the ones who should be given the opportunity to do more for themselves, do more for their business, and to reap the benefits of that hard work. So, but anyway, so you talk to your employees. Sorry, I was getting away from your question. You talk to your employees, or if you're new, you're just going to help start recruiting them. But we can turn the software on in under 48 hours. Get you going. We train you. We set up your payments processing flows. And in 48 hours, you're good to go from a technological perspective. Now it's keeping your providers, attracting others in the community. It shouldn't be that hard because it's such a great offering. If you offer it to the ambitious ones in your neighborhood, in your community, they should see right away the kind of benefit it could bring. And as I like to say, you don't want to be the third or fourth CloudMedSpa in your community. You want to be the first. Because there's another one. Why are they coming to you? So you've got to do it, be quick, be aggressive, and move over, because the existing W-2 model, just like hair care, where 90% are rental, it's a wave and it's going to crash on you. So I recommend moving quickly to a rental model, and I think we can help you get there.
Well, yes, you can. And judging from the speed with which you're able to implement, 48 hours is an incredibly short amount of time. I haven't been involved in implementations. This is years ago, though, that took a year to implement software, but universally throughout a 36,000 person company.
Yeah, that's a different kettle of fish. We're talking about maybe up to 2 or 3 locations. If it's different than that, my guess is there'll be cultural issues in converting,
Mm-hmm.
model. But like I said, the typical med spa in America is 3 to 5 rooms and maybe 10 employees. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the median. So
Mm-hmm.
once you're below 3 or 4 locations, which is 80 or 90%,
Yes.
this is a much better way to go. And quite frankly, an honest way to compete, because the really big players have a huge advantage on you. And we're giving you the necessary tools to compete with the biggest players, and you can win without
Yes.
really even fighting with them. You'll
That's right.
you'll start siphoning off their best employees. And I've talked to even the big players, the
Uh-huh.
ones with hundreds of locations or dozens of locations, and they say their number one problem is HR. It's HR. The best people leave, and they're
Mm-hmm.
struggling to retain them. And I think, I don't want to quote somebody, but somebody in the finance group at one of these players said, "You're the logical end game of where we're going. We keep giving more commissions and more of this, but if they just got the lion's share, and they got complete flexibility, that's what they're asking for. We give them the air cover, but if they've got the confidence to be out on their own, this is a no.
Yes.
It's kind of a no-brainer."
Yes. Yes, it is a no-brainer, and they can they can go as far as they want to go, and maybe they'll discover that they want to keep going.
Yeah. In fact, our best 2 or 3 providers have gone off to start their own CloudMedSpa.
Oh, it's wonderful. That's exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah, so one was an nurse, then she was
Mhm.
an injector, then she had a successful business with us, and then she said, "Screw it, I'm gonna move this to a couple other locations and offer it to friends and former colleagues to go do
Oh,
the same thing."
she was in charge of her own career development, created her own
Yeah,
path.
yeah.
And there's more because there's an app that comes that's built into this package as well. So there's the ability to be in on people's phones and have ready access to them.
Yeah,
Tell us
and
about the app.
yeah, right now, I mean, they can, they see their billing, they see their business records, um,
Mhm.
they see their scheduling, their products, their fulfillment. But we're going to quickly, for providers, give them that ability to link patients to it, so patients can
Mhm.
schedule their own times. They'll say, "Hey, I know that Jane Smith is available. I can see now that they're available Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I want this treatment. I want this time," and they'll just book it, and it will book automatically for the providers. So we're giving the providers that, and then payment processing with those patients. So
Mhm.
patient procedure, they're in a room they rented, they just push a button, charge
Mhm.
the patient on their preset um,
Mhm.
payment method, and
Mhm.
all in one neat little package for the provider to get their business done.
Yeah, very, very convenient. And also, what about memberships? These providers can create membership plans or VIP plans that can they implement them on the app?
No, it's not on the app. The membership VIP plans are for the CloudMedSpas to offer
Oh,
to their local set of providers, so they can say things like, "Hey, get this membership and you get these free products," or "You do this membership and you get these discounts," uh,
mm-hmm,
et cetera, et cetera. So we enable the CloudMedSpas to offer these plans to their providers. We haven't done that for the patients. But another thing we're looking into is
mm-hmm,
integration with the vendor programs for discounts. So a lot of the vendors, like Aspire Points with Galderma, Alley
mm-hmm,
Points with Allergan,
mm-hmm,
they have consumer-based reward programs, and
mm-hmm.
they can sometimes be a little difficult to implement for the med spa. We're going to make it super simple, so it's integrated to the provider and the consumer, so people just apply their points, their coupons, just like you see online. People, it automatically uploads it, gets their discount, and they're off to the races.
That's fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit about what is in the future for CloudMedSpas?
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do is get a foothold in, like we've done in Boston. So in Boston's a really good example. We had one location we started in Boston, but guess what? There's one now in Medford, north of us, in Stoneham, in Quincy, in Brookline, in South Yarmouth, on the Cape. Weymouth is coming. So as people become aware of us in a geography as a possibility. So if you're an injecting, you go, wow, I didn't even know this kind of concept existed. But maybe I'm not in Boston. I'm 30 miles away. Well, hey, there is a CloudMedSpa within 10 miles of you now. And the awareness helps everybody. Some people have said, well, I have a competitor 20 or 30 miles away. Should I be concerned? I said, no, because if they're a mile away, maybe you start to worry. But if they're distributed, and the med spa world, there's 25,000 of them. We're so far away with 15 or 16 locations. And right now, it helps you because other people in the aesthetic community become aware locally of you, because there'll be friends, there'll be colleagues and a nurse to say, hey, there's this great idea and it's next to you. It's, you can go join that one. You don't have to even join the one I'm in. Or we have a dozen providers that are members of more than one location. In fact, we have one person who's a member of 3 locations. They have clients all over the greater Boston area. So our goal is, let's get out there into all the major metros, blanket the country, and then we believe there will be organic growth of other CloudMedSpas in the surrounding areas.
Well, so that's soon happening and coming very fast to us.
I hope so.
Yes. So you mentioned earlier that you have a training manual for the owners to recruit providers. Yeah, and so that's their marketing effort.
Yeah, it's a playbook. It's probably the best way of describing it. Probably not unlike a franchise that, it's like open houses, vendor events, recruiting ads, some social media to, let people know about your offering locally. You can target it geographically. So there's a series of steps we give you, and some of it's rinse and repeat. And the referral programs, you can offer discounts or credits to people that drive you a referral. If you've got an existing customer, and say, hey, bring us one of your friends and we'll give you a $100 credit here at this CloudMedSpa. And that is, that's a really powerful way of getting customers too. But we give them a playbook. It's not complicated. It's 6-8 pages, and then here are the steps we've taken ourselves in Boston and Dallas. Here's what we've found is successful. Training, continuing education, mentorship opportunities. This is how you can get people to taste your offering, and the word will spread because it is a powerful offering for people in the local community. And then when people do something that is fun and rewarding, they tend to share it.
Yes, they tend to, and by word of mouth and in other ways too.
Exactly.
So that the providers, they're then in charge of their own marketing.
The providers are too. We are actually, that's another thing we're working on, is some structured way for them to also have a playbook. We have a playbook, but to also implement it for them. So we won't do the marketing ourselves, but we'll pass on very lightweight, because these providers aren't, they don't have an individual provider doesn't have a $10,000 a month budget for marketing.
Mhm.
But they might have 500 or 1,500 or
Mhm.
$2,000 a month
Mhm.
to plow
Mhm.
back into marketing. A lot of them choose, lower cost self promotion on social media,
Uh-huh.
but we recommend some paid marketing as well. Whether it's through their online presence or other methods.
Mhm.
But we do give them a playbook of what we've seen other providers that were successful do.
And that's valuable, and particularly if those other providers are in the same region.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
yes, right, right. So the market can be very specific in terms of what does work in certain parts of the country. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm sure that at some point when we have patients using our system, we'll start to create some marketing opportunities there as well.
Mhm. Oh, amazing. So it doesn't seem like CloudMedSpas is limited necessarily to the United States.
No, it isn't. We've had inquiries. We haven't outreach at all, but we've had inquiries from South Korea, Hong
Uh-huh.
Kong, and the UK. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I, um, I would say that it's not high on our priority list. We have to explore it, whether there's different legal challenges there.
Sure.
We don't have the legal responsibility as a software and services provider, but we
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure we're giving accurate guidance to our clients. Not that we're giving legal advice, but
No.
what we see in the market and what are the legal and other regulatory resources they need to reach out to, and also vendor relationships there. I assume they would cross over, but we
Yeah.
haven't explored that fully yet.
Yes. Okay. So that's to be determined.
Right
Absolutely.
now, I've kind of learned you gotta focus on what's in front of you rather than what's ahead of you.
Yeah. Correct. And
Getting back to
honestly,
golf, I would
yes.
say, I love Tiger Woods' quote, "What's the most important shot in golf?" And he said, "The next one."
Yes. Yes. How true. How very true.
Yep.
Well, it seems like you have, well, the United States offers a lot of opportunity yet for Cloud Med Spas. There's
Yep.
a lot of territory yet to explore and develop in this country before you go venturing overseas. So you've got your hands full, and um, I really applaud you for the quality work that I see that is being done inside of Cloud Med Spas, and also the ingenious approach that you took to this, just being observant of the market and how people are loyal to their providers, to their injectors, to their hairstylists, to their professional. There is that personal relationship that is long term.
Yeah, no, it's those personal relationships are everything in an increasingly machine and uh, uh, technological digital world. Maybe even AI starts to really forget AGI, but regular AI creates more separation. These relationships matter more and more.
Yes, they do. They do. They do. Well, would you like to say anything before we say close for the evening?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to you first and your
Oh,
team for allowing me and really our whole company to be part of this. One and two, if anyone is interested in this model, please reach out to me. You have the number below and my email. I answer these personally. I take it very seriously. It's still early days for us, and this is job one for me. I mean, this is how do we make people um, have a better life, honestly, more flexibility, more control.
yes, absolutely. Well, that is inspiring, Iggy. Thank you so very much for being on the show.
All
And
right.
maybe we'll have you back for an update.
All right. Sounds
We'd like
great.
to see how things have evolved maybe 6 months from now.
That
Things
sounds
are
great.
moving quickly.
All right.
right. Thank you so much. And we'll see you the next time.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye. So hello again, everybody. Thank you so very much for joining us today. We had a very, very lovely conversation with Iggy. And he has, again, I encourage you to reach out to him because he is a wonderful resource to you all. So if you were not able to join us last time, we had a very special guest, Ward Herbert, who talked to us about Repeat MD, which is an app that is designed for medical practices and especially for the medical spa industry. There are membership functionalities, the ability to buy 24/7, even on holidays, to also make appointments and order. So there's a 24/7 store on Repeat MD. I do encourage you to check it out. The video is on YouTube, and you'll be able to get caught up with Repeat MD. So I encourage you to do that. Let me just share with you a little bit here. Oops. And also next week, we are going to have a very special guest, Erica Adler. She's from the law firm Rutzler and Andress, and she's a specialist in the health industry. She'll be talking to us about the legal issues in the development and sale of med spa and aesthetic dermatology practices. I encourage you to tune in again next Wednesday, 5 o'clock on YouTube and Facebook. So it's my pleasure to host this show. The show is brought to you by Med Spa Well. And also, please tell your friends that these productions are produced for you, for the med spa industry, so that you can have tools, knowledge, and connections that will help you get to the next level. We want to give you the ability to increase your visibility, strengthen your brand, and also elevate and increase your profitability. So until the next time, thank you very much for joining us, and have a great week.